Very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mahmood, for that wonderful introspection into Dubai. There's a lot more to Dubai trade that connects us, and for those of us who work and operate in Dubai, know that and have come to depend on that for our day-to-day work. Our next speaker is Dubai Customs, Mr. Yusuf Al-Hashimi. Dubai Customs, as you have seen, is ranked very high on the world ranking, and it's because they are tasked with ensuring that they are an enabler of business, at the same time, no compromising on safety and security. A tough job, but a job done very, very well. So I invite to the stage Yusuf.
Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for giving us the opportunity today to be part of this event. It put me in a big challenge when I'm hearing my partners, JAFSA, DP World, Dubai Trade, when they are promoting Dubai and seeing all the figures and how they are promoting and enabling Dubai trade. And then it will become, the time will be to be talking about customs. And as you know, customs is always about controlling. But let me share with you Dubai view of controlling. My partner highlighted about Dubai positioning and the figures. But what is interesting for me is that, Dubai airport is being now ranked as the first in the world. And DP World is ranked as the first in the Middle East with dealing with cargo and containers. If we're going to see the figures for Jebel Ali container capacity growth, we're going to see that in year 2014, Jebel Ali container reached 15 million container, and with expectations to reach up to 24 million container in 2020. The current container vessel can carry up to 17,000 container in a single ship. So this is the question. Can we inspect all of them? How can we select? It is a challenge. For people who's working with authorities and customs, it is always about facilitation against enforcement. So how we can balance between these two. The way customs approaches, we are saying we don't have any facilitation. There is no facilitation if we don't have intelligence customs control. The way customs operating model depends on information, risk profiling, and risk mitigation. Information is available everywhere. We are gathering information through many sources. These information will be fed in our risk engine system, and which will help that any declaration or transaction will be processed through Dubai Customs. It's going to go through the risk engine, which will decide whether the declaration will require to be inspected or it is released. Before introducing our risk engine and Mursal 2, the typical way was that all the declaration has to go through the human factor, which is the custom officer and the counters, and they will be deciding whether the declaration needs to be inspected or not. But with our risk management systems, 80% of our total declaration is getting an auto approval. And we are only tackling 20% of the total transaction that Dubai Customs are processing. So what will happen with the balance of the 20%? An event that a client will have a remark that his declaration requires inspection, we have introduced a new online inspection booking system. The client could choose the date and the time preferred by them, and we will be performing the inspection based on it. You will see that until now we're saying that the clients, they don't have even to come and visit our offices or visit our counter to process their declaration. In the event, if there was an inspection for the declaration or for the shipment, Dubai Customs has introduced a new drive-through non-intrusive scanning system. We have installed 5 of these units in Jebel Ali. These units are linked with our declaration system and with our risk engine system. It has very unique features, which is that it can recognize the container numbers while moving. It can define whether this container is containing any radioactive material. Plus, it's going to give us or give the officer an X-ray image to decide and verify with the declaration. The good news about it that these units can do a 150 container per hour for each unit. And currently in Jebel Ali, we have installed 5 units. David was talking about not compromising on the safety. What you are seeing here, it's a normal container which has been declared as food stuff and specifically dates. But in this container, it was contained with a 1.2 ton of illegal drugs smuggled in this container. And guess what? Where do you think that the smugglers are trying to smuggle these kind of drugs? They are using the false compartment in the container, plus they are using the floors. If we were depending on unstaffing and the manual job to inspect this container, we will never be successful to stop this container from entering our country. Another example is that this container has been declared as a personal effect. And when we were checking and verifying in the container, we did discover 2 shotguns that has been smuggled in the container. Along with our partners, we are using a single window for all of our transaction, which is through Dubai Trade. Trade through Dubai, after seeing all of this, in Dubai, we are like 78% of the UAE trade are passing through Dubai. Transaction-wise, we have reached in 2013 8.3 million transaction declaration. 95% of our declaration at that time was cleared in less than 2 hours. Recognition. Dubai Customs IT system was recognized by the World Customs Organization internationally. Locally, we have the Dubai Government Excellence Program. We have been the Distinguished Electronic Department in year 2013. And for 3 years in a row, we were the Best IT Project Awards awarded in Dubai Customs. This was short presentation. Thank you very much.
So you've heard why Dubai ranks high on the world rankings. It's constant innovation, constant investment in the latest technologies that drive an enabling factor without compromising on safety and security. Our last speaker of this session is Mohsin Ahmed. He is the Senior Vice President that looks after the logistics cluster within Dubai World Central. Possibly the most exciting development that is there. It's going to house the largest airport in the world. It is connected to Jebel Ali Port with a seamless bonded roadway. And the forwarders, the logistics city, is going to home and house a lot of the international, multinational forwarders. I invite Mohsin to come and tell us more about this exciting development.
Thank you, David. Assalamu alaikum. I don't know what to say. I might as well keep it for 10 minutes of silence while I click through all the slides because they've covered most of the stuff. So I'll try to cover it in a different angle. But anyway, the thing about DWC, Isa reiterated about the age of thing. I'm glad to say that we are the youngest organization on this panel. I mean, we see Dubai Chamber is doing their 50 year. It's our very minor 50-year anniversary this year of starting operations. So, and that's also reflects on our age on the panel too. So it's both ways. I'm younger than you. Don't look at me that way. Anyway, we always talked about this sort of, so as a region, as a Middle East and Africa, I think we also invited our friends from Indian subcontinent, but I think that should not be an invitation anymore. That should probably be a permanent, adding the SA to that letter of the RAME. Because I think that's quite important. We read, Mahmoud mentioned about the Manessa, but Manessa is where the driving force, where we all here, and I think that's the key message. I mean, Adil mentioned it, Mahmoud mentioned it. It's just continuously with that Manessa is the region that we need to reiterate. And here's the reason. If you look at this, the sort of the growth in the Manessa regions, if you know, we've seen this. There is growth in here. There is a growth in terms of where the trade is. If you notice also on our map there are some North African countries may be excluded. And that's because it's a traditional routes, you know, like if you talk about Morocco and sort of Tunisia, it's usually served by France country manager. But if you look at other regions, in terms of India, we've got almost 28 destinations we fly out of Dubai to India. Whereas Singapore, which is traditionally sort of known as the Asia Pacific's regional hub, you're only serving 4 cities. These are key important factors. I think it's worth looking at it. And it's worth it that Dubai is naturally the hub for India. And we're seeing India as a growth of 7.5 that was mentioned earlier. I think that's the next beast to wake up and create a sort of a change in the economy. The region, I think most of this is covered, but it is a very young region. It's got access to capital. There's a huge investment into infrastructure. The GCC alone invested close to 65 billion of infrastructure last year that was completed. I mean, that shows the significance of it. The internet penetration is on the rise. You've got, you know, in terms of access to, in terms of the investments, all these things are very positive about this region. But also looking at it, what's, you know, in terms of the trade, in terms of when it comes to UAE. As a country, we might be small, but being on the 11th largest in terms of the, you know, EU partners, we're certainly not the 11th largest country, but then we still, on the EU, we are the 11th largest trading partner. That shows the significance. It's really acting as a hub. And similarly, if you look at both China and India, this is the difference. We all sit here, I mean, we always talk about it. We are always, many of us probably have a title, EMEA, on our title as Europe, Middle East, and Africa. But in reality, if you dissect that and change it and really look at it, sort of the Manessa, it makes a difference. I think even maybe a FIATA guys could look into changing even the way they're regionally located. Because if you look at that, that's probably somebody who's sitting in Ireland all the way to Siberia and down to Cape Town who is responsible. We did actually last week, we had an event with DHL, and we asked the question, how many percentage of your time do you really spend if you're EMEA? And guess what, as usual, they were less than 10% of their time was spent on this region. But if the guy is spending less than 10% on Africa and Middle East, I think that's also reflects of how much of involvement. But when you look at it in terms of the growth, they all looked at it that this is where the region of the growth. Then we asked another question. How many of you think that you can serve Dubai to India and CIS countries? And the answer was 94% yes, that Dubai can serve India and CIS countries. And this is people who are decision makers. I think it's important, the industry understands it, but how many people are really doing it? We didn't stop there. You know, this is a real case study. This is an IT and telecom company who was distributing out of Amsterdam. We asked them, can you look at your supply chain differently? Can you distribute out of 2 hubs? And this is what they reflected. It improved in terms of the service to market, and it also slightly reduced their cost. I think it's bringing the supply chain context into it and network optimization as opposed to just looking at it at point-to-point freighting. That's what makes it a difference, is can you be innovative in your supply chain? Can you transform the way you've been doing your business? What is UAE as a gateway to the region? All these numbers have been shared, I think, but it is important to reiterate that it has a lot of things that has been done there historically. I mean, we've seen a lot of success stories. I mean, David himself is one of the success stories that's with us on the panel. Isa was another story. I mean, I can probably, most of you guys are a success story of what has happened in Dubai. And I think that's important of what the government and the private sector and even semi-government like us is how we collaborate and how we bring into innovation. And that's where these numbers are not coming out because somebody decided that they're going to put a ranking. These numbers came because we just delivered. I'm just going to skip through these numbers because it has been stated earlier, but it is important that it is building the business and it is transforming. But there are some key factors I think we need to look at it. You know, in terms of when you look at the economic prosperity, when you look at competitiveness, innovation, these are what driving us. Infrastructure, probably will be a lot of people who can build the physical infrastructure. But you've seen things like that's been shared by customs. There is innovative in doing it. There is a soft infrastructure with Dubai Trade and Dubai Customs in terms of how they deliver this. But also, if you look at it in terms of political stability, we're probably one of the most stable. I mean, it was mentioned earlier, it's by His Excellency Sultan bin Sulayem. We're taking the benefit of what's going on around us. That's, you know, the lack of stability. But that's what we have. We've got the stability. We've got also